ferry's just got there. It's not my ferry. My ferry is in about 30 minutes, so actually maybe that is my ferry. Hey, what is up, Veg Fam? So it actually snowed a few days ago in Vancouver, which is pretty wild. But despite that, I'm still kind of feeling the summer and spring months rolling around, which is why I want to make this video about kind of the cycling trips I want to do once like the warmer months come. So yeah, if you are feeling kind of bitter or about the cold and the snow and the kind of those kind of vibes, then like I hope this video can kind of give you some suggestions or ideas, like inspiration about maybe, you know, feeling more optimistic about the summer months. Yeah, so I'll have like 5 trips of what I want to do on my bike, places I want to go. We'll start with like kind of these easier ones that are like more manageable. I think, yeah, the some ones that are a bit more out there, a bit more about pushing myself or you out of your comfort zone. Yeah, so this video is going to be a bit different than my previous ones. We aren't going on any adventures. We'll just be chilling here in my room. I'm going to go through some of the trips I want to do. Yeah, and I hope you kind of like leave feeling a bit more inspired about the summer, or, you know, what kind of adventures you might get on up to, you know, even if it's just camping or whatever. It doesn't need to be bicycle, just kind of, you know, giving you some of that positive inspiration about what I'm going to be doing, and maybe that kind of inspires you, or maybe you'll even want to go on some of these bike trips yourself. Starting with number 5 is a place I went to last summer when I attended a kind of young adult workshop type thing at a personal development retreat organization called The Haven. So it's Gabriola Island, and the trip is actually not too bad in terms of the cycling. It's maybe about 30 to 35 kilometers one way if you're leaving from Vancouver, once you take out the ferries and all that stuff. So like 30 to 35 kilometers of actual cycling, and it's pretty mild. Like, this is pretty doable, I would say. So this trip involves taking a ferry from Horseshoe Bay. Once you go from Horseshoe Bay, you'll go to Nanaimo, and once you're in Nanaimo, you'll cycle a little bit to get to the smaller ferry, which will actually take you to Gabriola Island. And if you're on the island, yeah, I think the Haven has a bunch of personal development courses, which I highly recommend. They're super awesome. But you know, Gabriola Island has a bunch of other places to stay and things to do and see. It's definitely a smaller island, so I would say it kind of ranks lower on terms of the things to do and places to see, but it's a really great trip. And obviously if you're going to the Haven to do some personal development work, it's super doable by bike. Highly recommended. Number 4 is a personal highlight for me this past summer, and that is the provincial capital of Victoria. At about 90 kilometers of cycling from Vancouver to Victoria, it's definitely a longer trip, but the path that gets you from Victoria, the Swartz Bay ferry, to the actual city of Victoria is super pleasant. There's these kind of old decommissioned rail lines that have all these bike paths and these bike trails. Super nice. They're pretty low key, super mellow. You're going through like farmland, you're going through these small little pockets of neighborhoods and towns, and you're kind of going along these old rickety bridges and stuff like that. It's really nice. It's super pleasant. Definitely a highlight of the trip. There's nothing like that really in the lower mainland area, in terms of these long bike trails. And then Victoria itself is just a really great city. There's all these really cute neighborhoods and little hip places to go check out. And obviously there's a bunch of vegetarian and vegan restaurants, which you might want to check out yourself. I know I did. And yeah, the food was just really great. And the city itself was super pleasant, very laid back, have kind of the water around you, a bunch of very walkable, some good bike infrastructure. And again, you kind of can cycle around these regional trails, which are really nice. So I definitely would check out Victoria if you need a trip idea this summer. The third trip is a place I went to last summer as well, but regrettably I didn't do it on my bike, and that is Salt Spring Island. It's definitely one of the larger Gulf islands, and because of that scale, you have way more going on, way more restaurants. There's the market that goes on in the summer, which is super awesome. There's like a really cool bar that I went to one night, and like it felt kind of magical. Yeah, I just really like Salt Spring Island. So I went camping when I went there. I went with my friend who drove. We camped at Ruckle Provincial Park, like a super beautiful campsite along the water. You got the trees, you have the ferries going by. It's just super pleasant. And I just really want to do that on my bike. Because of the scale of the island, it is definitely a bit of a larger island. So kind of if you're going on bike, you'll have a bit more longer distances to get from place to place. For example, if you are going to camp at Ruckle Provincial Park, it's about like an hour ride into like the main town, which has all the stuff. So, you know, that kind of, you have to account for that. You aren't going to be going to hitting up all the places like all in one day. You're going to have to pace yourself. And I think that's kind of the thing about bicycle touring. It is that longer, slower, more intentional pace, which is definitely part of the appeal.
If I roasted a video, so I don't know how this will.
I think it's pretty much the same.
Well, the other guy burnt his. He did.
All right, number 2 on my list is a place I'm not even sure if it's actually doable, but I did a bit of research and I think it may be. So it's definitely more of the out there trip in terms of I'm not sure if I'll be able to pull it off, but I really want to. I think it's the kind of thing that will push me out of my comfort zone. And that is Diosino. It's called Dionisio Point. It's a provincial park on the very north tip of Galiano Island. And from what I could see, it technically is a marine-only park, as in it's only allowed for marine access, so only for kayaks, canoers, stuff like that. But with a bit of internet sleuthing, as in like I used Google Earth and satellite view and a few online forum comments, I do think there's a way to get to it via bike through the kind of a service road. So that's going to be kind of a really interesting thing where I'm not really sure if I can go there, but I really want to try. And I think even if I fail and I don't make it, I have to like turn around or something, I think that's kind of the experience that I really want to kind of push me out of my comfort zone. And I'm sure that if I actually make it, like being on this northern point of this island in this kind of marine park, it's going to be super beautiful, probably super worth it. Finally, coming in at number 1 place on my go-to trip goals for the summer is the small town of Kelowna, BC. Apparently they have some really great vegan gems in terms of the food and the restaurant scene, so I really want to go there. I've never been before. I've never driven. I've never been there before. But it is about 300 or so kilometers from Vancouver, maybe even a bit more, and that's one way. So this is the kind of trip that will require definitely multiple days of cycling, so kind of finding a place to camp on a midpoint, or maybe even 2 nights of camping to make it there. Well, I know I'm definitely not fit enough now to make it. I don't have the endurance of the cycling muscles, but this may be the kind of trip I will save for the end of the summer, if I'm feeling like a bit more of a challenge, if I'm feeling fit enough to make it that long distance. But yeah, there's like Naked Cafe, there's like Renegade Kitchen. I think it would be worth it, and I think it would be that trip that would just really, I'd probably feel it for like weeks after. But I think it'd be really, really fulfilling in that kind of challenging sort of way. Cool, there we go. With that last option, we have the 5 trips I want to do this summer. A few of them are definitely very low to intermediate level in terms of difficulty. So I think these are trips that like, even if you're like kind of into cycling, you could probably do with like, you know, another person. They're really manageable, I would say. I think the trip to Victoria is like a really good level of cycling. You'll need a bit of experience in terms of being able to cycle those pretty low to moderate distances, but like super worth it. And then we have some other ones that are a bit more advanced for those who are like more keeners or whatever, or you just really want to go to Naked Cafe or something, which yeah, I don't blame you, but 350 kilometers? Come on. All right, well that is the end of this video. If you did enjoy it, like, subscribe, smash the bell pepper, all that good stuff. If you have any suggestions for me or any comments about what I should do in the summer, or if you have questions about cycle touring yourself, you can ask me, who's also not an expert, but is also, you know, new and wanting to learn about this stuff. So yeah, I might have some ideas, I might have some questions, I might be able to have some advice for you. And yeah, if not, you know, I'll see you out on the trails.
On the radio, stereo, the way you move ain't there, you know. Hey, soul sister.